So what's up everyone? Matt here. Remember last video when I said we were gonna get that Alpine, the 68 370 Alpine ready just in case there would be any snow? Well, fast forward 1 week later and we got snow. So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually tune it up a bit, and the goal is gonna be to maybe drive it today, but most probably drive it tomorrow. Like today we're Friday, I took a day off, and tomorrow we're gonna be Saturday, and that's when I kind of feel like getting some snowmobiling done. So today we're gonna do what I didn't do last time, and that's gonna be, work on the carb. I wanna open up, check it out, check the fuel. We gotta readjust the fuel mixture and some calculations there. But yeah, give it a bit more of a go through, maybe grease it up, and hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to have some fun in all this powder. So stay tuned. I'm sure you're gonna love it. So with all the snow, today's gonna be an inside day. All right, so I just finished pulling the sled out from back over there. Got it into this kind of center area over here where I'll have a little bit more room to work on it. And the first thing I wanna do is pull that carburetor out. Okay, so if you remember in the last video when we took this top part off, this was all, the airbox kind of looks like this, and then we took this piece off, cling, and then one of these studs came along with it. We'll just get that top part out of the way. And we took this thing off. This was kind of like the base. It was over here like this, or the other way around. I don't really know, but yeah, so that was done last time. Right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get these studs out, and I wanted to mention, usually I don't like wearing gloves or nitrile gloves or whatever you want to call them when I do mechanics. I like to get my hands dirty, but a couple of reasons. I mean, it's freezing cold right now. It's probably about -6 or 7 centigrade, and up at the country house with the missus, and I don't really feel like having stinky gas hands tonight. So that's it. Those are some of the reasons why. But yeah, so we got these studs out, perfect, and we can see that the throttle bracket is held on, kind of sandwiched on inside this sort of, we'll call it an air box, even though, well, it's an air box. Just don't call it an air filter because it doesn't do any type of filtration. All right, next up, we're gonna pull the choke lever. This guy was dangling on there. Look at it and lose it. And okay, we'll get rid of the gas lines. These gas lines are kind of rock hard. So I have a hunch I'm just gonna cut them. You could take an X-Acto and be real gentle and try to get them off without scarring the little brass fittings. But we're gonna worry about doing that when it's on the workbench. We don't have to do it on the snowmobile. So there's 3 lines. The fuel pump line. This has the integrated pump called a diaphragm, I guess, but yeah, that's it. So get that guy off, and this is the return line, and then there's the primer. The primer, the gas line coming in is the one that's also hooked up to the primer, so that'll help me kind of remember what I'm doing. So I'll just come here and cut this gas line situation over here. Cling, 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 like so. All right, so now that's all freed up. Okay. All right, next off, we'll take the throttle off. A flathead screwdriver usually. Is that still the case? Sure is. I used to work on snowmobiles quite a bit in my youth, and then sort of took a break. But sort of getting, well, took a break. I mean, I'd work on them every once in a while, but not as much as I used to. And we'll get this carb off. See, we're almost done. Isn't that wonderful? So it's a pretty sludgy engine. Well, not that bad, but I mean, you can see that, these old carbs would be spitting and slobbering all over the place. So, yeah. Usually these nuts, you kind of have to get them off and then sort of pull the carb off while you're pulling. You can't really take them off with the carb still on. You sort of gotta even when you put them on, it's the same thing. You sort of seat the carb down on the studs and you pull it back up a bit, and then you kind of get your nuts on, and you can kind of hold them there with the carb as you slowly thread them back on. So don't have a lot of, well, I'd like to say I don't have a lot of room, but you know, I've seen a lot worse. I don't know if you guys see what I'm doing here. Nothing too spectacular. That's one, and then we got a little washer on there. Let's try not to lose the pieces. They made it this far. Let's try not to lose them now. A little washer on the other side. Okay, that, we'll just yank it off. Let's see if we can save the gasket. Yup. Looks like the gasket stayed on with it, so, all right. So that's it. Tillotson HD. HD being the bigger model Tillotson. They came in kind of 3 sizes, so HL, HR, and HD, and there's probably more, but those are the ones I'm familiar with. So it's an HD 49A from what I can see. That's it. We got, contrary to the HRs, HL I'm not too sure. I'm not sure if I've ever worked on an HL, but HRs have the jets both on the same side, so high and low. The HDs, you have the low speed on one side and the high speed on the other. And same thing. Sometimes you'll have, I know the HRs, you would sometimes have a screw-on fuel filter here, or you would have, if they have a fuel, not a fuel pump, but that's it. You can have an inline fuel filter like this one has, so there's no screw-on filter. So that's it. That's all it took to get it out, and we can see. Oh, all right. So now with that carb off, we can see the piston skirt, at least on this piston. A little light here. Let's see now. Shine that on there. Now you can see there's a bit of a groove right next to where that rib is. I don't know if you could see it on this side over here. Right next to that rib, a little bit of a scrape, and keep turning it. You can see our 2 rings, and I kind of wiggled them around a bit, and I could see them slightly moving, so we know that the rings are not all carboned up. And you get a little further. You got to get right up onto the compression stroke without having it pop back, but. And now we can see right back to the back end. Let's see what we can see here, holding the camera and the flashlight. But yeah, I can see a bit of a transfer port. You're gonna have a hard time seeing that, but you see a little bit of the transfer port back there. Not that that tells us anything, but I don't see too much. You know, I see minor wear, but no actual scoring. I mean, you know, had this thing, you know, if this engine was kind of finished, we would see, you know, a lot more scratching and actual scoring than that. This engine ran pretty well, so that's good news for us. Now let's get this carburetor apart. Okay, so I have just about the most awkward camera setup right now to do this carb video, but anyways, we'll make it work. So the first thing I like to do is I like to indicate via a scribe mark the stacking orientation of this. When I look at it, however, compared to, I think, the HR carburetors, and I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but from memory, you could get it wrong. But this one, I noticed that you have these 2 closer bolts, so as long as I don't get mixed up in my order, and even that, there might be, you know, ways, little tricks to figure it out. I won't actually have to scribe this guy, because you could see that there's only one way to put these things back together. So first thing I'll do is take these screws out over here. to keep the stacking order over here. Try not to break the diaphragm. And if I notice, this guy's not all, sometimes you'll get these old things, they'll be hard as a rock first of all, and sometimes they'll be all kind of bubbled out, and that's not exactly the case. And what I do sometimes is I'll just kind of crack it away. Oh, this one's already, I don't know. You open it up and then just a little bit of gas comes out. See if it happens. Nope. That way there you know that it's not torn or anything, so. Okay. Like that. So, got our little needle. What do you call it? In French we call it a pointeau. In English, I don't know, a little needle valve. Fuel cutoff valve, I don't know. But yeah, overall looks pretty clean. And I just realized that in the toolbox that I brought, I didn't bring, this guy. You have to grind, like I think this one's a 10 millimeter nut, and until it's an HR, it's an 8. But I kind of ground a sprocket, a socket down in the past, and I did not bring it with me, and that's what I would always use to take it apart. Because if not, I think a regular from, you know, if my memory doesn't fail me, you have a hard time getting a typical width socket in there to get the to get this out. But I'm just gonna blow it out. Usually I take them out, but I won't. You know, like I said, this is gonna be a quick video. Freezing cold out here. We'll get the jets out, and then we'll clean everything off, and then we'll reassemble. And it's gonna be as quick and as easy as that. And you guys just noticed that I didn't check and see how many turns it's in before taking off, which is horrible practice. But usually you go 75 or 0.75, the 3/4 of a turn on the low, and maybe like start off at a turn and a quarter on the high, and that's usually a good starting point, you know. So right now I kind of fiddled around with it the other day because it wasn't running too well, so I'm not even going to really trust what was in it. But yeah, get this guy off here, make sure we don't lose whatever surprises are down this little rabbit hole. Yeah. So a little bulk copper washer, and so far everything's looking pretty darn good. A little dirty. I mean, I'm not sure if that's just my scuzzy hands, but yeah, that's it. So that's pretty much all it takes to strip one of these guys down. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little container, and I'm going to shoot some brake cleaner in it. I didn't bring any Varsol. I have gasoline. Maybe I'll clean it off with gas first, try to save on a bit of brake cleaner, and then I'll do the rest. Once it's all nice and clean, we'll blow it out and get to reassembling. Okay, so lucky me, the only brush that I had in my tool pouch was this little brass or imitation brass. You know what the price of brass is nowadays? There's no way this can be real brass. This is probably steel coated brass. But anyways, that's it. So this is just a little bit of the gasoline. See that lovely marking? Like I said before, HD49A, ladies and gentlemen. If you want your sled to be original, that's what it takes for a Rotax 370. Okay, hold up. Stop the show. I realized afterwards when I was editing that I'm spewing BS. I'm just spewing it out like you wouldn't believe. The proper carb for this model is an HD8A. That was good for 68, 69. If it was a 67, it'd be an HD8B, I think, or a 7A. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But I know that for this one, it's definitely not supposed to be, the HD49A that I just said. Turns out, HD49A is not even a Bombardier issued carburetor. It's for a Ski Whiz, a Massey Ferguson Ski Whiz 399 or something, 1971. So the advantage, however, is that it has the return line on it. And that's one thing, when I was taking it apart, I was going like, how the heck does this thing have a primer if in 68 they didn't have primers? And I didn't think any further, but I realized that after that little primer fitting that, when you shoot the gas and it goes into the cylinder, well, that was on that carburetor, the incorrect carb. And that's why I can have a primer. That's why I have a fuel return line. And even further, that's how I know that the gas tank is not the original gas tank. It's close, but the original looked kind of the same, but it just had one line, one going to the carb, nothing coming back. So that's a little bit of snowmobile history that I realized afterwards, and I decided, let's do a little clip. We can plop it right into the video, and that's it. So incorrect carburetor. If you want an original machine, it's an HD8A, not the 49A. All right, back to the video. I think I said in my previous video it was a 370 cc's, I exclaimed, but in reality it's a 368 cc's. I'm not even sure if it's a Type 370. I didn't even look at the tag. But yeah, this is just surface grime from all the gas and stuff, so it's gonna come off nice and easy. I'll tell you what. Why don't we sign in when this and those, this is cold. Nothing like Arctic cold metal and gasoline. Yeah, I'll sign back in when this is all nice and clean. You guys don't have to watch this. This is kind of boring. So, all right. Okay, so I'm done cleaning the carburetor body. I did that with gasoline and a bit of brake cleaner and this little steel brush. I also did the jets, I did the screws, this little fuel inlet pickup adapter, and the gasket. I also set up over here, let's see if I can get in. Okay. The gaskets and the fuel pump assembly, I cleaned all that as well. I also stacked it in a way that, that's the base and that's the top, and if you just kind of stack it together, I know how to do it. I understand myself, let's put it that way. What's left to do is, when I like to use an air compressor to blow out my carbs, but when I kind of don't have one, like out in the middle of the forest, where I am now, I just use a can of brake cleaner, and kind of does the same thing, and I like to just make sure that all my jets are nice and clean, and you see stuff kind of coming out. Let's get it dirty. Okay. Should see stuff coming out here and there. Okay. Just sort of flush stuff out as best as we can. That's done. When you blow it out with the air compressor, you really get everything clean. Right now it's kind of not all that great, but anyways. We do what we can. That should be good. Anyways, I knew that this guy ran pretty okay, so that should be good. So let's change out this this shop towel for a clean one, and we will be reassembling shortly. Okay, so I reassembled the little fuel pump assembly. Just snapped it all back together the way it was supposed to be. Right now, the only nice thing about when you have air is that everything's nice and dry after. Right now, I still got a little bit of gas and braking residue, but that's not too bad. I also forgot to mention I cut off the various fuel hoses and stuff, so just a little shot of X-Acto and pop them off. So that's done. All right, let's get that little needle valve back in. Oops, what are we doing here? I'm working at arm's length over here because this workbench is not very conducive to having a camera and a light and myself all working on it, so bear with me folks. This is not the most ideal setup. That's a nice clean screwdriver. Did I mention I'm at arm's length? I should stop complaining. It's my fault. It's my fault I wanted to do this. Okay. Good. Next, yeah, we'll put in the fuel pump. Okay. So I knew where everything went. And that, the two close ones are here. Oh, here they are. Remember our trick? The two close ones. It was pretty easy to figure out anyways. Ugh. I think the hypothermia is starting to get to me. Come on. You're rusty, Matt. You're rusty. All torqued on. Let's get the jets in. Small jet first. Why not? Or the low speed, I should say. The low speed jet. So like we said, we'll get it in and we'll give this guy 3/4. So that's what, half, 3/4 about there. And the high speed, get it in. This one's kind of nice. It's got a little T handle for us. I could have taken this guy off actually, but I was a little lazy. We go what, 1 1/4. That's what, half. Whoops. 1. Let's call that 1/4. It's perfect. Home stretch, ladies and gentlemen. Get this little rubber gasket on there. Little hair. And then I don't quite recall which direction this guy was, but we'll figure out when it's on the sled. How does that smell? Won't tighten up too much. So that's all there is to it, folks. Let's get this guy back on the snowmobile. Or better yet, let's go inside and work on this tomorrow. I'm freezing, so yeah, we're going to come back tomorrow and keep working on this sucker. All right? Okay, so we're the following morning, and last night it was well, I was complaining to myself that it was too cold. It was actually -7 Celsius, so I decided to pack in early and go in and warm up next to the fire and drink some beer. But this morning, lucky me, it's -17, and with the wind chill, feels like -26. So yeah. Lucky me, but you know, we gotta do what we gotta do to get this sled running, even though it's freaking cold. So we're gonna head back in there and get back to work. So hang in there. Okay, so let's get these fuel lines off. Just make a minor indentation. We should be able to get them off pretty easy. Try not to scratch the metal. But making a little pilot cut, definitely when it's cold like today, really helps out a lot. Okay. Same thing with these little primer lines. All right, now it's so cold, I'm gonna just cut the line right in half because they're so hard. One, two. Lost a bit of gas on that one. There we go. That's all there is to it. Let's get that carb back on. So, got the gasket all cleaned up. Our carb gasket on. And get this guy on. Throttle side here. On you go. Get our little washers. Washer number 1. Washer number 2. Okay. I'll get these nuts on. I gotta take my gloves off. Despite the weather, we're gonna do it no gloves. Just to get it threaded on. 1, 2. Do we got it? Maybe. Okay. Gotta get the gloves back on. I don't feel my fingers. Okay, one side. Perfect. Nice and solid. Okay, so I have the gas line heating up in the house. I'm gonna go get that next, because I want to get the gas line on before I put, you know, the throttle back on. And that's gonna be pretty much it. Oh, and the whole airbox assembly. But after that, we should be done with the carb. So even with $3 a foot Tygon style gas line, when it's freezing cold outside, you gotta watch out, because it'll break on you. This is brand new stuff, so Oregon brand. I don't know. Never used it before. Never used this brand, but we'll just assume that it's because of the cold. I fished one of them through. Put it over here. We'll just leave that guy like that. Or we could put it right away on the filter. Hopefully I'm not freezing up yet. Okay, this guy's a little dirty. I should have taped off the end, but right now I'm just not thinking straight. The cold's getting to my brain, and I knew that my electrical tape would be frozen tight. There we go. Put it in the mouth for a couple seconds. An old trick. Chew it up until it gets warm. An old trick for surviving in the Arctic. Okay, that wasn't too bad. All right. Well, that guy's not too bad either. Good boy. All right. One down. So I left a little bit hanging. I mean, I'll cut these guys to proper length. Let's just get the second one fished through. This is going to be for the return line. Same principle, different line. Now we'll just clip off the dirty tip and get it on there. Let's try not chewing on this end. Like a glove. And I'm going to eventually tie wrap these down to here, but I kind of feel like my tie wraps are going to break pretty easy on a day like today, so we'll leave that like that. That's good, that's good. Looks good there, that looks good. All right, so we'll call the carb almost done. All we gotta do is get that throttle hook back up to it, and I think we can call that one a day. So where's my throttle cable? Oh yeah, right. It's up on this thing here. So the cable's a little bit frayed. It's seen better days. Let's try to kind of sort of recondition it a bit. Wrap it back up a little. Try to get all the filaments through the hole, if that's possible. Yeah, these cables you gotta be real careful with them. Sometimes I just put a little shot of weld or something at the end of them to try to keep them from fraying anymore. That's like that, and that's like that. So, good. We'll temporarily tighten the cable where it used to be, and then we'll check and see after if that's the right place. So let's get the air box back on. All right, so I think that basically the way it went on was this kind of acted, this bracket that holds the throttle cable, and then you put these threaded shafts down there to kind of hold them on like nuts or like bolts or whatever you want to call it. Okay. Just check and see. Hold on a second. One of them is, all right, I gotta watch out here. Look at this. There's a trap. One of the ends is looks like it's like a coarse thread, and one of the ends is like a fine thread. So gotta watch out. I don't mix those two up. Almost fell into the trap. Check and see which one is the carb threaded coarse or fine. I guess it's probably fine. Oh, yeah. Yes, no. Is this normal? I don't know. Let's check with a nut. These are one of the nuts from the top. All right, so I would think that the fine goes on the carb, and this is what I was worried about. Look at that. The threads are a little bit chewed up. They're not the best. Not the best, but we'll have to make do. All right, so the fine section goes on the bottom, apparently. That's a nice big socket on there to hold them in place. Put this on like this. If we're lucky, we start with one that's in decent shape. I knew something was fishy when I took this guy apart. So that'll have to be put on the to repair list. We'll have to repair that at a later date. So I'll just watch out I don't tighten it down too much. Can't over tighten it because I know that, you know, the studs I'm not too worried about. You can get new studs, but it's the carb. Yeah, see, this one's no good. So, all right, we'll leave that guy out. Maybe have to put a helicoil or something in there. Figure out a way to fix it. So we'll just go real easy on it. That's enough. Yeah, that's enough. And then we got this. You know what? While we're here, so okay, let's adjust. You see, this guy's all kind of sloppy. Let's get a better look at that. Look at that. It's kind of sloppy, but it's only held on with these two nuts, and they basically adjust your I guess your throttle position So this guy will be, we'll call it closed here. And then we'll see if we, how's this guy now? Okay. Let's loosen up this screw. Pull it all the way down. Make sure that my throttle lever is fully in. That's all fully in there. That's good. And then we'll see about whether I put it here or there. Does it even make a difference? I don't think so. Okay. Where's this 13 mil? Yeah. I'll try to break it up a bit. This guy was a little bit wobbly last time we were using it. Now I know why, so that'll just help us out, be a little more stable. The throttle a little more stable. That's one thing about these old sleds is you always kind of got to go through them and retighten stuff back up, because you never know what comes undone over time. Alright, so now we'll call that the final position so we can tighten up that screw. Good. Let's make sure it goes, does it go full throttle? I'm actually missing a bit of throttle when I open up full, so it closes, which is fine. When I go up full, so basically, if I pull that nut up a bit, that'll help us. So I don't know how it was before, but I basically have to, yeah, basically the way it was, I brought the bottom nut up. I thought that I found it was a little low, but I think that's why it was there, so that we can get the full throttle. I don't want to be lacking any power. So let's just pull it up my hand like this. Does it go all the way up? That looks like it's a little better. Let's check and see. Okay. Yeah, we'll say that's enough. I mean, I get a hair out of it more, but that's fine. So we'll just make sure that's fully tightened. Perfect. All right. Let's put the little choke bracket back in. And now what I did was I wiggled this guy around, and for now we'll check and see, but I think we should be okay. I mean, it's pushing up against it. I moved the tie wrap down, and I think it gives us just enough clearance to get this base, this airbox base, back on. Okay. Get that a little lower. That's good. Okay, whoops. Get this rod through. Okay. How's that line up? Good. Choke closes pretty much all the way, which is perfect. And yeah, I think all that's left is the top airbox part, basically over here. Okay, so it's going to be quite a, there we go, okay, choke is through, and then let's try to just get this lined up here. Yeah, okay. So it's on, but you kind of feel like like it doesn't want to stay in place all that much. Let's get this choke back on here. That'll kind of hold it a bit. I don't know if you just turn it forever or... Okay. All right. This piece. So this guy will hold it in. This guy will hold it in just fine. There we go. And then we'll get a nut on it. And another nut. I think there were lock washers on there, but I'm not going to put them on just yet. Okay, we're not going to tighten it on too much either, because I don't want to put, like I said before, I don't want to put any more force than I have to on that carburetor until we fix those threads. I feel like this guy's turning forever. Alright, something's fishy with that guy too, but you know what? It's on. Choke works. Throttle works. That's it. Alright. Carburetor and gas lines. Check. Okay, so microphone just died. You know, everything's kind of dying right now in the cold. But yeah, last time, basically I made a 50-50 mix, no, 50-to-1 mix that I put in it. And then I determined, oh, we'll do about 40-to-1, but you know, at that point I wasn't measuring anything. I just ended up putting a bit more oil in, took it out for a spin, didn't find it smoked enough, and then added on more oil. So I took that container afterwards, you know, and while I was back at home, I was thinking to myself, you know, how am I going to figure out, you know, I don't feel like just draining the gas again and losing, you know, 10, 15 liters of gas. But basically, yeah, when I looked at the container, it was a brand new 1 liter oil container, and I was down to, I don't know, 460 milliliters or something, so I would have used up, what, 540 milliliters, mixed in with some of the premix I made, some right into here. I did all the calculations, and I determined that right now what's in there is like 21 to 1. So, you know, about a 20 to 1 mix. That's what they call for in the manual back in the day. But, you know, then you go online and it's like, you know, the debate of the century is, you know, what your mixing ratio is for these old sleds. People are saying, you know, you can go 50 to 1, you can go 40 to 1 if you want to be a little safe. People are saying I still run, you know, 32 to 1, I run 25 to 1, 20 to 1, anything you want to hear, you know, you'll find it online. So that didn't really help me out too much. What I want to do is, I don't want to take a chance with this engine. And I think that if I run it, you know, around 32 to 1 for now with modern oil, we'll just get it to run a bit. If I see it's smoking and, you know, I can always add in, you know, future gas to it that'll be probably 40 to 1. That's probably what I'll run. But right now, let's try like 32. I did the calculations. I'd have to add about 5 liters of pure gasoline to what's left in this tank. I determined, you know, about half tank. I did some calculations, and if I add 5 liters to it, it'll give me 32 to 1. If I added 7 or 8 liters, I forget, it would give me 40 to 1. But let's just do 32 for now. I'm also going to be adding in, this is super gas. You know, in Canada, super is basically 91 octane. I think Petro-Canada has something higher, but I buy the 91, and then I add in, you know, people online that's what they're saying, like they put avgas in these things and 100 octane and stuff like that. I'm going to put this octane booster in it. I mean, I know it'll run great on whatever gas I give it. I just know it will. But we're going to add in this this octane booster, and not street legal, so you know it's good stuff. So let's add this in. Let's add the pure gas in, and I think we're going to be good to try starting it up. Alright, so the first thing we're going to add in is this octane booster. And I didn't even read this yet, but it'll treat up to 25 gallons, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, I think it just says put as much as you want in. So we'll just put a bunch. Alright, that's enough. I'm not calculating anything, but like I said, it will run on anything I give it, because that's what I decided. And I think I'm going to chicken out. I'm not sure I'm going to put the full 5 liters in. What do we got here? Oh, I'm too scared. I'm way too scared. All right, that's enough. Let's determine that that's enough. Give it a shake. All right. Jack it up because I can't. The clutch kicks in like right above idle, so I can't get it to. I gotta get it to rev because I got the gas right up there, but it just doesn't want to jump into the carb. So try to figure out a way to jack this guy up. Okay, so I fanoodled around with the carb a little. Notice that the this piece we were talking about before, you know, that little flangey thing, one of the carburetor, I didn't find it was seating very well, and so what I did was I wasn't able to get it to seat in properly. I didn't feel like taking the carb apart again, so I had one of these screw-on filters. Wasn't sure if it was going to work, but I put it on, and I just put it on a temporary line right into the tank, and I used this old piece of fuel line kind of tie wrap to the bottom to hold it down to the bottom. So that way that eliminates, you know, any type of leak, any type of whatever. You know, I kind of suspect this connection over here, not to, I'll put a bit of grease on it to see if it would help, but didn't. And then I primed it, got it started, played with the jets, the adjustments a little, and yeah, kind of happy with what I got. Let's see how it goes here. So next step is going to be, you know, if it was actually what I thought it was and it was this, if I end up putting the this fuel line, the actual, you know, the fuel line that's hooked up to the tank properly back on, I should be able to get it to run. Either that or I disconnect it from here, run this temporary line right up to there, because right now, like I said, I don't really trust that primer. I almost kind of feel like not even having it Yeah, because I know that's not period correct anyways. All right, let's check and see what we're going to do, and I'll check back in shortly. All right, so after contemplating several different scenarios, I ended up cutting this piece off because it was a shorter one. Pulling the gas line further up, I ended up recutting this. I didn't chew on this end when I put it back on, and it was all kind of wobbly, so I did, and now it's a little bit more solid, or solider. And that's it. By pulling up the line, I had enough room to make this kind of loop-de-loop into my new fuel filter, which is basically just there because, like I said, I couldn't get that gasket to seat properly. I'm gonna have to get one of those. And then I replaced this piece with the longer one, which is on there now. Gave myself a bit of leeway, and it works. So let's get the cab back on and take it out for a spin. Might have wanted to grease it up, but again, you know, my intentions were too great for the amount of time in this day. So if I want to take it out for a spin, it's now. And let's go enjoy some powder. All right, so that was just awesome. You know, this weekend we fixed it up, carburetor, fixed it up more, I guess, than last weekend, and then took it out for a great spin. I mean, it's still pretty cold, but it warmed up a bit today, so it's not as bad. I was able to do it, you know, without a helmet, but it's kind of chilly, and I had a really great time. I mean, that sled is just a blast to ride, and it's a workhorse. I mean, you know, the thing is not fast, but you know, I guess that's just how it is. So I'm gonna have a great time making cross-country ski trails with it, maybe pulling a little sleigh. I might even take it on a vintage ride, but yeah, I love that thing. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and stay tuned for the next one. So signing out.